Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Reason number 5, the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, says, فصل ومن أكبر الأسباب لانشراح الصدر وطمأنينته الإكثار من ذكر الله فإن لذلك تأثيرا عجيبا في انشراح الصدر وطمأنينته وزوال همه وغمه. قال تعالى: ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. فلذكر الله أثر عظيم في حصول هذا المطلوب لخاصيته ولما يرجوه العبد من ثوابه وأجره. He says reason number 5 of removing sadness and grief, obtaining happiness and joy, is making an abundance of the dhikr of Allah. Remembering Allah abundantly. And this is because when you make an abundance of Allah's dhikr, it has, as if one quote unquote could translate, a magical effect. تأثيرا عجيبا. A magical effect, a marvelous effect. Something that you can't necessarily put your thumb on or your finger on, but you definitely feel it, see it, know it, and taste it. But the tangible or palpable reason behind it can't necessarily be obtained. Ajib, marvelous, makes you wonder and marvel. The dhikr of Allah and making one's heart and mind calm, and making one's heart and mind peaceful and still, and removing and preventing and forbidding the opposite of a person being extremely jumpy, uneasy, unsettled, and unsure. This is what the author says. And of course, this reason behind happiness is going to be specific to the Muslim. Specific to the Muslim. Now, the non-Muslim who believes in Allah, regardless whether they make shirk with Allah or whether they believe that Allah is an entity of 3, or whether they believe in Allah's oneness and uniqueness, but they reject the messenger of Allah, Muhammad being the last of those prophets and messengers, but they believe in Allah, could possibly get a portion of this with spirituality and religious devotion and the concept of being busy with the remembrance of someone and something greater than the dollar bill, someone and something greater than the sports, someone and something greater than my desires, what makes me feel good, of food and of drink, of the industry, fashion, and whatever else keeps a person busy and makes a person elated, makes a person joyful. But there's something bigger and greater. So people who have religion, whatever that religion may be, and people who don't have a religion but they have spirituality, they are automatically a notch above than the average day-to-day person, whether that person is an atheist or whether that person is a Jew or Christian or just a Sunday, Saturday, or Friday worshiper, in which their lifestyles are absolutely secular and liberal. Everything is secular and liberal. And the teachings of the holy book, whether it be the Quran, whether it be the gospel, whether it be the Torah, whether it be the Psalms, whether it be the teachings of Buddha, whoever, whatever it is totally watered down, shaven down, secularized, marginalized in the corner. Work, school, this, that, nothing to do with my religion or my faith. That's a problem. And Muslims, unfortunately, oftentimes are included in that. There's no doubt about that. Your parents, your mother, your father, your uncle, your older brother, your younger brother, your sister, maybe your husband, maybe your wife. I believe in Islam, I'm a Muslim, but here and there, right? Yet and still, or despite all of this, the one who makes some type of remembrance and stays busy with mentioning something bigger and greater than him in his every day-to-day hustle and bustle is what? Above. Let alone a Muslim who believes in Allah alone without any partner and accepts all of the prophets and the messengers without any prejudice or distinction, and knows the importance, the virtue, and the power of dhikr. He's going to get what? Al-Hadh al-Awfar. What nasib? He's going to get the biggest piece, the biggest slice. Allah the Exalted says, ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. Indeed, in Allah's dhikr, the hearts find tuma'nina. The hearts find peace, tranquility, and serenity. طيب. Number 6. He says, وكذلك التحدث بنعم الله الظاهرة والباطنة فإن معرفتها والتحدث بها يدفع الله به الغم كذا ويحث العبد على الشكر الذي هو أرفع المراتب وأعلاها حتى ولو كان العبد في حالة فقر أو مرض أو غيرهما من أنواع البلايا فإنه إذا قابل بين نعم الله عليه التي لا يحصى لها عد ولا حساب وبين ما أصابه من مكروه لم يكن للمكروه إلى النعم نسبة. Reason number 6. He says, is always speaking about and talking about the favors and blessings of Allah, the Mighty and the Most High. Sitting down, realizing, acknowledging, and speaking about what Allah has done for you of good. Of good. He says, once again, this is a very powerful tool with regards to combating sadness, grief, and depression. And obviously, causing the opposite, which is happiness. And that's because there's no comparison between the calamity, the misfortune, the accident, the drama, the fitna, the trouble, the problem, and Allah's blessings. It isn't a fair equation. One thing happened to me. I have 7 children. One of them died. It hurts me. It pains me. But Allah gave me 6 others. I lost some money. How much money did I spend? Whatever that can take place and happen of sickness, of illness, of death, of misfortune, Allah's favors will be greater and they will be more. Greater and more. He says, so there's no comparison between the two. بل المكروه والمصائب إذا ابتلى الله به العبد وأدى فيها وظيفة الصبر والرضا والتسليم هانت وطأتها. He says, rather on the contrary, whenever a person is afflicted by misfortune, afflicted by calamity, afflicted by something bad or negative, and the servant does his or her job, your job of patience. Yes, it's crazy what just happened. It's tragic what just happened. You're in pain, but you still have to be patient. You can't be so hasty and so reckless. Fasbir, be patient. Number 2, he says, وَرِضَى, and being pleased. رَضِيتُ بِاللَّهِ رَبًّا, I'm pleased with Allah as my Rabb. I'm pleased. Last but not least, he says, what taslim, and full submission. It was meant to be. There's no point in thinking about it, fighting over it, going back and killing yourself. Submit to what was decreed. And it's obvious, or it's obviously easy to say that. But inside, it's a different story now. You're forced to submit outwardly. It's cold outside and you want it to be hot. It's raining outside and you want it to be dry. So you outwardly submit, you physically submit, you put on a jacket or a raincoat or an umbrella, but deep down inside you're still downcast, you're dejected, you're mad, you're angry, you're upset, you're sucking your teeth, you're kicking your feet, you're punching the wall, hitting the steering wheel. You have not submitted. You have not met taslim. He says, so when misfortune befalls the servant, calamity, whatever it may be, poverty, sickness, death, etc., 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 and the servant does his job, listen carefully, to do your job, and not to focus on what Allah is doing or what Allah has done or what Allah is going to do. And this is one of the tricks of the shaitan. They say, well, how do I know that Allah is testing me or punishing me? That's not your job. It's not your position. You do what you're supposed to do. Is Allah testing me or punishing me? I lost someone in my family. I lost my job. I got divorced. This happened and that happened. Is it a punishment from Allah or is it a blessing? That's not your job. Sabr, rida, taslim. Be patient upon divorce. Be patient upon losing money. Be patient upon getting sick. Ar-rida, being pleased. Being pleased with what Allah has made for you, and physically, mentally, and spiritually submitting. That's all you have to focus on. And if you stop and think about your life, you realize that your life will be far more happy and far less complicated if you focused on your job. And the same applies to anything else. We are so worried about the next man, we can't worry about our own responsibilities and our own duties. He says, so when you do that, the sting of the calamity isn't as painful. It doesn't hurt as much. وَخَفَتْ مُؤْنَتُهَا. And obviously the pain, the hardship, and the responsibility of it is lesser, it's lighter, it's more bearable. وكان تأمل العبد لأجلها وثوابها وتعبد لله بالقيام بوظيفة الصبر والرضا يدعو الأشياء المرة حلوة فتنسيه حلاوة أجلها مرارة صبرها. He says here, and whenever the servant is pondering on the reward, thinking about the blessing from Allah, and thinking about his or her duty to Allah with patience and pleasure, it turns bitter, sour things into sweet things. It's bitter, the taste of it. But because you think about the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ says, he who is afflicted by this and is patient will have that. The hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ quotes that Allah says, whoever I test with his two beloved ones, Habibatehi, his two eyes, awattuhu bihim al-jannah, I will give him paradise in replacement. Just think about that. If you go blind, all you have to do is be patient, and you have the promise from Allah to go to paradise. So you think about the hasanat, you think about the rewards, you think about the sins being forgiven. That will cause bitter things to turn to sweet things. Step number one. Step number two, once the bitter has been made sweet, the sweetness will intoxicate you. He says, فَتُنْسِيهِ حَلَاوَتُهَا. The sweetness of the things causes you to forget the what? The bitterness of the previous things. You can't lose. The author rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, number 7, ومن أنفع الأشياء في هذا الموضع استعمال ما أرشد إليه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في الحديث الصحيح حيث قال انظروا إلى من هو أسفل منكم ولا تنظروا إلى من هو فوقكم فإنه أجدر أن لا تزدروا نعمة الله عليكم فإن العبد إذا نصب بين عينيه هذا الملحظ الجليل رآه يفوق جمعا كثيرا من الخلق في العافية وتوابعها وفي الرزق وتوابعه مهما بلغت به الحال فيزول قلقه وهمه وغمه ويزداد سروره واغتباطه بنعم الله التي فاق فيها غيره من هو دونه فيها. Number 7, from the most beneficial things concerning getting happiness and repelling sadness and grief and stress and anxiety as following the prophetic advice and obeying the prophetic commandment, in which he says in the authentic hadith, unzuru. He says, if you need to look, if you want to look, if you have to look, if you want to make some type of comparison, then look at those who are beneath you and don't look at those who are above you. And when you do this, it will allow you to be grateful and not to be ungrateful and disrespectful to Allah's blessings. Stop and think about that now. You lost your foot in a car accident. They had to cut it off, amputate it, or diabetes. But there's someone else who lost a leg. You lost one leg. There are those who have no legs. You lost both your legs. There are those who are totally paralyzed, brain dead. You lost a son. There are those who lost their whole entire family. One bomb being dropped, one raid. My whole family was killed, murdered in this civil war. The rebels entered our homes and they killed everyone. You don't have that much money. You're in debt. You're bankrupt. Something happened to your outward appearance. There are those who are in worse situations than you. And then this goes on. He says, any situation, there's always someone who's worse than you. Mahma balagat bihil hal. He says, no matter how bad your situation may be, there's someone who's lower and you're going to be higher. So this prophetic hadith, this authentic narration here, it shows and it proves how the simplest and easiest tools can make our lives happier. And we always think about what we're not getting, what we didn't get, what we want. what we don't have, what we lose, what we lost, our mosque, our community, our race, our. But there are other communities, mosques, races, people, men, women, etc. that have far less than you do. So be grateful for what Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you. He says, think about afiyah, well-being. Well-being. How much peace and safety you have. You complain about living in a neighborhood that may be a little dangerous, but it's not like other neighborhoods in which there are war zones. War zones. Somebody got shot, no doubt. Somebody got stabbed, no doubt. That's not the same as a missile flying past your head, entering into your house. A tank being outside of your house. And there are many parts of the world in which that is the reality. So there's always someone to look down, and there's always someone to look up. So look down, and not the opposite. And that will allow you to be grateful for Allah Azza wa Jalla's blessings with regards to afiyah, well-being. And when you do this, and say, alhamdulillah, it's not that bad, then you automatically feel happier. And your hum and your gham will go away. Stress, worry, and anxiety will all be taken away from you. وكلما طال تأمل العبد بنعم الله الظاهرة والباطنة الدينية والدنيوية رأى ربه قد أعطاه خيرا كثيرا ودفع عنه شرورا متعددة ولا شك أن هذا يدفع الهموم والغموم ويوجب الفرح والسرور. And he says, not only do this one time, or not only just doing it occasionally, he says, طال, over and over again, and you sit down for a long period of time, and you make deep reflection, deep meditation on this principle. Those who are better than me, those who are worse than me. He says, then he will realize Allah has given him an abundance of good. In the deen and in the dunya. The deen and in the dunya. You become frustrated with Arabic, frustrated with Quran. You become frustrated with ilm, frustrated with knowledge. There's some Muslims who don't have a tenth of the knowledge that you have. There's some Muslims who have never even heard of this book that you want to read. There's some Muslims that don't even understand the Arabic alphabet, and you're focusing on Ajrumiyya, Mathalan. There's always someone worse off than you are, in the deen and in the dunya. In the deen, this is so applicable. Marriages, divorces, you complain about your husband, you complain about your wife. It's a universal principle. Your children don't listen, they're disrespectful. My children don't want to study the Quran, they're lazy, they're this and they're that. There's some children who don't know no surahs. They can't recite in Fatiha. So it's always something to be grateful for. But it doesn't mean that you don't try. And it doesn't mean that you don't strive. And it doesn't mean that you don't push. And it doesn't mean that you don't make an attempt to reach and strive for perfection. He says here, so it will take away one's sadness and it will make a person happier. First one. Next section or next point, next chapter, he says, وَمِنَ الْأَسْبَابِ الْمُوجِبَةِ لِلسُّرُورِ وَزَوَالِ الْهَمِّ وَالْغَمِّ السعي في إزالة الأسباب الجالبة للهموم وفي تحصيل الأسباب الجالبة للسرور وذلك بنسيان ما مضى عليه من المكاره التي لا يمكنه ردها. طيب. The last point, inshallah, we'll say for next week, بإذن الله تعالى. For one reason or another, we got started very late tonight. قدر الله ما شاء فعل. بإذن الله تعالى. Next Wednesday, we will continue with the 8th point. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only asked to bless us all, to allow us to benefit from what we have heard and what we have read. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.